104.7 The Cave, Mike the Intern. This is Jay Stevens.
Good morning. I'm up.
This is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 86.
I look like I just sniffed a glue.
He always looks like he just sniffed glue.
I've never sniffed glue. Why would you sniff glue? It seems like it's a stinky thing to sniff.
Inhalants just in general are a bad idea. And we're talking about chemical inhalants, not other things. But yes, definitely not a good look if you're getting high off a duster. Anyway, this is Dark Side of the Stream. Jay's picked this week a documentary on HBO Max called The Invisible Pilot.
Once again, Jay picks a winner.
It was a great documentary.
I picked a winner.
I had no idea about this guy's story.
Me neither.
I had no idea it was so close to home. In reality, it's very close to home.
Right down the street.
You ever been down on the White River? You've been where this guy hung out, had family.
And where he died.
Supposedly. So
but do we give this away? Do we give away the twist?
Yeah, we got to do the spoiler alert for this one. Spoiler alert. All right.
If you haven't seen it, turn it off.
If you haven't seen this documentary called The Invisible Pilot, we're gonna throw the cat out of the bag right now, because there's definitely a shocker at the beginning of episode 1 that you're
right at the end when you're like, wait a minute, what?
Hey, what? I could see it coming.
You did see?
Yeah, I could see it coming.
Jordan could see it coming too.
I didn't know how he did it in the way they did it, but I could definitely see it coming. Basically, what happens?
I didn't see it coming.
Let's go back to the beginning. This guy, Gary, he was a pilot, very accomplished pilot,
crop duster.
And then he went back to Arkansas to be a crop duster. Had his own business, ends up selling it. They say that he was such a good crop duster that he would actually dip his plane into the White River. If you understand anything about aviation, putting your wheels in water going that fast is extremely dangerous. And you have to be so damn accurate that you don't flip in, flip off. He would wash his wheels off into the White River and get back out. And so
he'd fly and drop beers to the farmers.
Yeah, he would drop beers to the farmers.
He sounded like the guy to hang out with.
He was the dude.
Good looking dude.
Guy's guy.
Wild man. Had it all.
He definitely was. He was a wild child. He was with a woman. She was pregnant. Ends up leaving her for another woman. Starts a family with her, but sells his business. Goes to Alaska. Tries to make money on the oil deal. Puts all of his eggs in one basket. Ends up getting screwed. Loses a lot of money.
Starts flying
at the same time. He, instead of to make ends meet, I love this part. They're up in Alaska. They start smoking weed a lot. And his wife, who I guess at the time was real straight edge, she goes, I'd never tried grass before. He kind of got me into it. And it was the first time I was like, whoa, this is incredible. The government's been lying to me about this. If they're lying to me about this, what else are they lying to me about? And I love that. I was like, oh, that's so good. Because she's, they're in their 70s and 80s now. And it was just, it's hindsight, but it was really cool to hear her say that. So he starts smuggling pot and oil and cigarettes and stuff and doing that little small time smuggle game in the north. Ends up getting popped, goes back to Arkansas, ends up getting popped again with like an ounce of weed in Arkansas at this time. That could mean life in prison. So what do?
Like anybody does, like good American does.
You run from the law and fake your own death with small children. And we'll get to next on Dark Side of the Stream what he did after that on 104.7 The Cave. .7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio. It is Dark Side of the Stream this week discussing The Invisible Pilot. So Gary Betzner is now dead, and he gets on a motorcycle and rides west, ends up in Hawaii. Now, people that lie have two choices. Either they have to be so good they're going to get an Academy Award, or you have to convince yourself that the lie is true so that you can keep the story going, because you convinced yourself it's the truth, and that's how you portray the truth. The way they got his wife to do this was unbelievably smart. Was they hypnotized her?
Hypnosis, trained for months leading up.
She actually believed that man was dead. When things would happen, she grieved him so much so that she had to be put into an institution because it screwed her up so bad. Well, I don't know how the conversation went when she found out that she had been hypnotized and that her husband was actually alive. She didn't call him Gary anymore. He was now Lucas, and he was living in Hawaii. Hippie,
Perfect place for a criminal to hide
smoking
out.
weed.
Yeah.
They take the kids out there, the family, and they go live out in Hawaii for a while until he gets busted again with pot. And so he's like, you know what? The kids have been living out here being hippies. They need to get into school. They need to do their thing. We can't be doing this anymore. Go back to Arkansas. I'll figure out a way to make money. So he sends the family back to Arkansas. Well, at the same time, he started dealing with gout. And it was so bad that he couldn't actually even fly his plane anymore. And he heard through the by that if you use this magical white powder substance, also known as cocaine,
the miracle drug to cure your gout.
It would cure your gout. I'd never heard this before.
I didn't
I
either,
was just like, dude. But I guess cocaine can cure gout because it worked for this guy. So he goes down to Miami to find some cocaine to help with his gout so he can start flying again and figure out what the hell he's going to do. In the meantime, he strikes up friendships with some
nefarious
characters, to say the least, and starts doing little smuggling runs for some of these guys in Miami. Starts making good money, big time money, and it starts going haywire, big time. And you know, I had to stop and think for a second watching this documentary that if Jay Stevens had been like this guy described himself as just an Arkansas farm boy that knew how to fly. I think if Jay Stevens had been in this time and
he was a rock star, man,
we would have been talking about Jay Stevens and all your aliases.
Well, and then they start, with the gun smuggling for the government.
Well, that part comes a little bit later. Woo. And his involvement.
I didn't know.
In the Iran
there was
Contra.
the Barry Seal guy, but then there was this guy too. They had a lot of these guys, I guess, right?
Oh yeah. The Nicaragua situation was a nasty one.
Scandalous.
It was hilarious that the documentary maker actually showed two versions of Reagan actually lying about it and then telling the truth, but then catching himself saying that they were actually involved and saying, no, I didn't say that, which was obviously a lie because it was happening. It was one of those things where I don't know anything about it, but the CIA certainly does. Woo! And we'll talk about that next. Dark Side of the Stream, 104.7 The Cave. .7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio, Dark Side of the Stream, discussing The Invisible Pilot on HBO Max.
Spoiler alert.
We're spoiling it all. So if you haven't watched it and you don't care, keep listening. If you are mad about spoilers, well, we've already warned you twice now. All right. So
we'll still get complaint calls.
Yeah, I know, all the time. So basically, Gary's now, he's going by Lucas. He said he had safety deposit boxes where he had a bunch of passports, and he went through like all the dudes he used, people he knew in his life that had passed away, his brother's, his sister's husband. Like, it was crazy. And he said, if I get too many speeding tickets or too much heat on this one, I just go put that one in and take out another one.
That was always the move. It probably doesn't work nowadays, but the move was you get a social security number of somebody who died young, and you use that, and you could always this was like you don't know about this hustle? No, dude. Okay. Maybe I should.
I didn't know we were given instructions on how to falsify identities on the station, but Jay seems to know.
It used to be fairly simple to change your identity. Now, maybe it's a little bit trickier.
It doesn't work as well. But at the time, in the late 70s and 80s, you could pretty much do whatever the hell you want. And a lot of these smugglers did, and they were running a lot of drugs. We talked about this before we started it, and Jay was like, this guy is just like rock and roll. It just had it all and then nothing. I was like, well, yeah, because cocaine gets involved and you start becoming a huge user. You hear these stories about what he did and what he was doing. And
you're making insane. Crazy money, but you're also, it's a time bomb. Tick time bomb.
Yeah. If you're using,
if you're running some scams or some shady business and you're making a lot of money, look, take 1 million, 2 million. Cash or gold or something, put it, hide it, bury it, whatever, stash it. Because when you're going to get caught, they're going to take all your money. If you got something stashed, though, there you go. There goes the government's already spying on me.
If you're absolutely right. In one case, Pablo and the Escobar family still have millions buried all over South America. They can't find. It's probably ruined now and rotten, but it's bad. Gary described counting money so many times that their hands would be filthy. That's how much money they were counting. And he makes the comment, and this goes along with what you said. It's not hard to make money. It's hard to hold on to money, especially when you're using cocaine a lot. And this guy was. And so basically, in the middle of all this, their CIA show up at a hangar when he's got, I don't know, it was like 500 kilos or something like that. It's just a crazy amount of stuff. And they call him by his real name, which no one had called him that in years. And he was like, oh, God. And so basically they told him, you're going to take some guns and some mines and stuff down to Central America, make runs for us. And so he would do that, come back with cocaine, get paid, sometimes get paid in cocaine, sometimes get paid in cash. But essentially he was running guns for the CIA in the Iran-Contra incident down in...
and in exchange, they were looking the other way.
And they would let him do it. Yeah. Now, they also, according to him, gave him immunity because he was working with the government. But as we know, the CIA wasn't really even working with the government themselves.
Oh, man.
But that was part of the game because they couldn't, essentially they wanted to stop communism in the South America. Eventually the Congress said, no, we're not financing you guys helping either side. That's not right. We're not doing it. Well, the administration at the time said, no, we're going to do that anyway. We're going to use these guys to just basically be our hitman
under the radar. And then they can say, hey, we didn't know what they were doing.
Then how do you finance it? We can't get congressional support. Well, that's where the guns and the drugs and all that start coming in.
Cities.
That's how they made money to do it. It's done. But I thought it was hilarious. They got the old president lying on camera because he definitely knew about it, and he didn't do a very good job pretending that he didn't know about it. Woo, and it's a bad deal. But we're not talking about that situation. We're talking about this guy. So he does it for a while, and then eventually, and the Pablo Escobar story about how when he started working with Pablo, like they even found his first wife and kid, took pictures of him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So just say, look, you know who we are, and we definitely know who you are. You got it. I mean, I was scared. I was scared for myself when I saw that. I was like, the level of stress these dudes, like, I can't even. You think your life's stressful? Try being a smuggler, working with the government.
Flying under radar and stuff. And
crazy. All right, we'll talk about our reviews. Dark Side of the Stream next on 104.7 The K. .7 The K, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio, Dark Side of the Stream, episode 86, The Invisible Pilot. So I would give this documentary at least 4 kilos of cocaine all day long.
Yeah.
Maybe more because I had no idea about. I mean, I've seen Cocaine Cowboys. They had Morales in there.
I saw the American Made movie with Tom Cruise about Barry Seal.
Yeah, props to the pilot Raven, who was smuggling marijuana with him at the time, but then when they started getting to cocaine, was like, nope, I've seen this movie and my part's not in it.
Yep.
I love that guy. That was smart. He's probably had a lot easier, not as much money, but definitely an easier life than Gary, who eventually did get arrested. Did his whole sentence despite the immunity,
the government,
tried to do that. They still put him in the slammer.
They dragged him into congressional hearings, man.
John Kerry was there. These it goes to a whole nother thing. These freaking guys that have been in office for so damn long, it just blows my mind.
And when it's all said and done, millions made, millions lost. Where's Gary now? Living in Arkansas in his mother-in-law's basement.
Chiropractor. Dude. Being a chiropractor. How did you learn? Practice. I love, dude. He had so many great lines. Like you could literally.
He was great.
Great that character. Was probably why he was so popular. Is because
he was like the Han Solo type of guy.
He could talk. I mean, Hollywood is probably in negotiations for this guy's story.
Hopefully they are because he needs some money. This guy,
dude, it's
feel
crazy.
Like some money,
yeah. Well, I wonder if he can actually make money off of this story because he was involved in drug, and they're like is it like murder only you can't make money off of or something like that. I don't know. How many you said 4 kilos cocaine on this one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Jay had me on HBO Max. I kept seeing previews for a documentary called Fire Boys, and that will be the subject of next week's Dark Side. Yeah, it's about the kids in California that are in the correctional system, and basically they're given a choice. You can sit in jail or you can go help us fight wildfires. So they're given a second chance, and it's a dangerous one.
Do they get paid?
No, they get out early with basically risking their lives to stop wildfires.
So slave labor?
one could argue that, but I mean, if you are facing something and you're given a choice, and I'm sure they're no one, like the state of California is not going to get sued. I'm sure they've said they write them out this whole long thing you got to sign, but I'm sure they get something off. But we're going to find out that together. Fireboys, as always, you can watch these live on Facebook every Thursday 9 a.m. as a podcast on our 104.7 The Cave app.
I had to practice my fingers, see, because I noticed that half the time I point the wrong way.
All right, I'm Mike the Intern. This is Jay Stevens saying we watch movies so you don't have to. It's Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.